What's going on, Coldwater Nation? It's Geoff, and welcome to the 4th episode of the 2025 calendar fly tying series. Each month I'll show you all how I went about tying the corresponding fly from the 2025 Art of the Fly calendar by Paul Twitchell, as well as provide a bit of background to the history of that pattern. Today, I'll be showing you how I tied a CDC Emerging Caddis for the month of April. Originally designed by Hans Weilemann, a Swiss fly tyer and photographer in the 1980s, this fly has been adapted time and time again to match a wide variety of emerging aquatic insects like midges and mayflies depending on the size of the hook and the pattern of the fly. So without further ado, let's head over to the bench and get started on tying a CDC Emerging Caddis.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Oh my god, look at that! Look at that toe!
The squirmy worm is an effective and very deadly fly.
What's up, guys? My name's Brian,
And I'm Geoff.
and you're watching Coldwater. Let's rip some lips.
This video is brought to you in part by Upstate Excursions and by Black Dog Outdoor Sports. First, I'll take a size 14 nymph streamer hook and get that settled into my vise. Then I'll start taking my wraps of light brown 8/0 thread about a third of the way down the shank of the hook from the eye before grabbing my scissors and snipping off the tag end of my thread. Afterwards, I'll continue to take wraps of thread down the shank of the hook until my thread is positioned just above the hook point. Then I will grab a length of gold Brassie wire and tie that in with a pinch wrap before taking wraps over the gold wire and down the shank of the fly, leaving my thread just before the bend of the hook. Next, I will wax my thread before grabbing a pinch of tan dry fly dubbing and make a tight, thin dubbing noodle before taking wraps up the shank. Afterwards, I will grab the gold Brassie wire from earlier and take open wraps over the dub section of my fly before securing it in place with some crossing wraps. Then I will helicopter off the excess gold wire before taking a few additional wraps of my 8/0 brown thread and create an even taper to the shank of the fly. Now I will flip my fly over with my rotating vise to tie in a throat on this emerger pattern to look like the little legs of an emerging caddis. To start tying in the throat for this pattern, I will strip off a tuft of natural colored rabbit fur and measure that tuft to be about the distance from where I am tying it in to about the hook point in length. Once I have the rabbit fiber secured, I will then snip off the excess. Then I'll rotate my fly back around to where I had it before. Then I will grab my bag of reddish-brown CDC feathers and take 2 feathers of roughly equal size and align them so that the tips of each feather are even. Afterwards, I will measure those 2 CDC feathers to be about 1 hook shank in length before securing those feathers in with a pinch wrap and a few extra tight wraps of thread. Then I'll snip away the excess CDC before taking additional thread wraps to cover over those cut ends. Now I'll take a gold-colored mallard feather with extra long fibers and strip 4 fibers from the side of that feather. Then I will measure those fibers to be roughly 1.5 times the length of the CDC wings before tying those fibers in with another pinch wrap and a few more tight wraps before splaying out those fibers to have equal distance between each fiber around the CDC wings. Afterwards, I will take a few more wraps of thread before snipping away the gold mallard fibers. After all of that, I'll grab my dubbing wax again and some of the same tan dry fly dubbing from earlier and make a small, loosely wound dubbing noodle before taking wraps with that dubbing noodle up to the eye of the hook before making a small head for the fly. Lastly, I'll take my whip finishing tool and make a 6-turn whip finish before snipping away my thread and adding a bit of head cement to secure all those thread wraps in place. And that's all there is to tying this version of a CDC Emerging Caddis. If you enjoyed this fly tying tutorial and you want to see more like this one, leave a like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a new video. That's all for now. Tight lines, everybody.